Hey guys, so if you have followed my channel for long, you know that I am a former teacher turned curriculum developer. And over the past couple years, I have had the opportunity to work for some of the largest curriculum companies in the world, writing curriculum and assessments for them. I've also had opportunities to write children's books, and it's been a lot of fun. I share stories about all of the curriculum work and book writing that I do on my Instagram all the time. And I consistently receive questions from other teachers asking me how I got started with curriculum development and how they can do the same. So in this video, I'm going to do just that. I'm going to share with you how I started my curriculum development company and the secrets that you need to know if you're interested in doing the same thing. So I actually know a lot of teachers who have started their own education companies, and everybody's looks a little bit different, but mine is divided into two parts. Half of my company sells resources and curriculum directly to teachers through sites like Teachers Pay Teachers. The other half of my company is contract-based. So a lot of big companies, they come to me and ask me to write curriculum and write books and assessments for them. Now, there's already a lot of videos on YouTube that will explain you how to get started on Teachers Pay Teachers if that's the route you're interested in going, but there's not a lot of information about how to get started as a contractor, so that's what I'm going to share with you today. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I've had the opportunity to work for some of the biggest education companies in the world. This includes US-based companies such as Pearson and Houghton Mifflin. It includes digital and online learning such as Interactive Achievement and Edulastic. And it also includes international companies and homeschool companies such as Connections Academy, just to name a few. And I've actually been so fortunate that over the years, I've gotten to the point where I get so many offers from these companies that I actually have to turn some down. But things did not always look like this for me. It actually took a lot of hard work to get to that place where I am today. I always have loved curriculum development, and I knew that it was something that I was always really interested in doing, but I never envisioned that it would look like it does today or that it would take the path that it's taken me to get here. I always thought that I would teach for a long time and then I would eventually transition into a district or state curriculum role. But things don't always work out the way that we plan, and things definitely changed for me a few years ago when my life got flipped upside down because of my health. When I was teaching, I spent several years where I was experiencing a lot of health problems that nobody could explain. And it took several years to get a diagnosis. And when I did finally get a diagnosis, the doctor told me, "You're gonna have to quit your teaching job. We don't know anybody with this disease that's been able to keep teaching in a classroom and be able to maintain all the treatments and everything that you have to do to maintain the disease." And when she said that to me, I've always been a real go-getter, so I was determined to prove her wrong. Like, I was gonna be that one person that kept teaching and still manage this disease okay. And I quickly learned that that was just not going to happen. I think I lasted about 2 more weeks and then just got too sick to keep going. And when I left my teaching job, it was devastating because I loved teaching and I really couldn't envision myself working outside of education. And shortly after I left my teaching job, I got so sick that I wasn't able to walk anymore and I was bedridden for months. And during that time, even though I was so sick, I was determined that I was still going to find a job for myself in education because that is what I love. And so I bought literally the cheapest laptop I could find. I think we spent less than $200 on this laptop. And I started my business from my bed. And initially, I was just creating resources and selling on Teachers Pay Teachers. But for me, I quickly realized that with our mounting medical bills and me not having any income, that Teachers Pay Teachers alone just was not going to cut it. So now we get to the part in my story that you are probably most interested in, and that is, how did I grow my company and start getting contracts? Well, I had heard of people that owned contract-based businesses in education. And so it took a lot of work on my part, a lot of time researching what companies were out there, what curriculum, homeschool, digital companies were out there that were hiring contractors, and going on all of those sites, applying for any jobs that they had. If they didn't have jobs listed, I reached out to their HR department and asked them if they had jobs. And I was spending about 10 hours a week for the first 2 years that I did this, just searching for contract jobs. But I will tell you this, it took time to get my first contract. But once one company said yes to me, I found that it got easier and easier for me to get other contract jobs, because companies kept coming back to me wanting me to do more, and they told their friends about me, and it built up my resume, and other companies saw that I had a lot of experience doing this. So over time, it just got easier and easier for me to get those contract jobs. And I will say, after about the first 2 years of doing this, I no longer had to go out and search for jobs anymore, because companies just come to me asking me to do work for them. And we're going to get into it in the next video that I'm going to be posting in a few days, why it is that companies come back to me consistently. So if you are interested in also going down this path and looking for contract jobs, what are some of the top things that you need to know for getting started? I really thought about that question because I get it all the time, and I've really broken it down into my top 5, secrets that you need to know for getting started with this. And the first one is a big one, and this is why a lot of people do not succeed when they pursue this path, and that is, you have to be willing to put in the time. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It requires a lot of work and a lot of time, and not even just for a couple weeks or a couple of months, but really you have to be committed to putting in the time. I would say for at least 2 years. That's what it was for me. And by putting in the time, I mean you have to be putting in hours every single week, hunting down those jobs, because in the beginning, no one knows who you are and no one's gonna come to you. So if you want those jobs, you have to put in the time searching for them, and then being persistent with tracking them down, and not just reaching out to them once, but reaching out to them 2 and 3 times until they finally say yes to you. I'll give you one example. There was one company that I really wanted to work for, and I tracked them down. I submitted samples and I submitted an application with them, and then I never heard back from them. And so I reached out to them a second time a couple weeks later, and I still didn't hear back from them. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to try one more time. And I reached out to them a third time, and they responded to me. And it wasn't that they weren't interested in me. They just had so much going on that my emails and everything that I was sending to them was kind of falling under the radar. And so by being persistent, by putting in that time, they did reach out to me, and now it's been 3 years and I'm still doing work for them on a consistent basis. So you've got to put in the time and you've got to be persistent. The second tip I have for you, and this kind of goes along with the first one, in addition to putting in the time, you've got to put in the hard work. In the beginning, probably the first contracts that you get offered, they're going to require more work and less pay. People aren't going to want to pay you as much as they pay experienced people, and you have to be willing to accept doing more work for less pay for a period of time, because you've got to prove yourself. There's a lot of people that get into this. I've seen it time and time again. They think, oh, I want to do this, and then they end up submitting work that's not really that great, and the companies can't use it, and they end up having to throw it out. So in the beginning, if you haven't proven yourself yet, you've got to be willing to take less pay, but still give your all so that you can show them you're worth paying higher amounts for. But once you've proved yourself, you will start getting offers. But once again, that takes time. The third tip I have for you is you have to believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, no one else is going to believe in you. I remember when I was so sick and I was starting this company, I couldn't even brush my hair by myself. I was so sick that my husband had to brush my hair for me. And I would tell my family and I would tell my friends, I am starting this company online and I'm sure that it's that I can grow it and make it successful. And I could kind of hear everybody like kind of snicker at me when I would say that, like, oh yeah, Megan, that's great. But I could tell that nobody actually believed me. But you know what? That was okay, because I never stopped believing in myself. I 100% believed that I could grow this company. And for me, a lot of it had to do with I didn't have another option. Like, I was being told, you can't go back to a classroom again. So if I wanted to work in education, I had to make this work. There was no other option for me. And so I think that was part of why I believed so heavily in myself. But even if you are in a position where being in a classroom is still an option for you, you have to believe in yourself in that sense. There's no other way for you. You're going to succeed at this. And if you put your mind to something and you believe in yourself, I really believe that anything is possible for you. My fourth tip for you is to give this up in prayer. I can't tell you how much time, especially in the beginning and even today, I have spent praying over this business and just asking the Lord to bless it. And you know what? It has happened. When you commit things to prayer, I 100% believe that things will work out. And the fifth and final tip I have for you is stop making excuses for your limitations. Every single person has an excuse not to start this. For me, it definitely would have been a whole lot easier just to focus on my health, not try to build a business while I was in treatment and doing all kinds of crazy things. And it would have been a lot easier. Starting this business made it a lot more complicated. I know other people that have started businesses that have 3 and 4 kids at home. That's an excuse for them. Or they're in the classroom teaching still and they have kids at home. Every single person has some kind of an excuse not to start, but the people that are successful are the people that do not let those excuses stop them from achieving their goals. So you've got to stop making excuses for your limitations, and you just got to believe in yourself and go for it. Okay, so that's how I started my company and kind of the top 5 tips that I have for you in terms of getting started. Now, if you're not already, make sure to subscribe to my channel, because soon I'm going to be releasing another video, and it's going to cover everything that you need to know about being a curriculum developer, especially on a contract basis. So what are some of the big responsibilities that you have? What are some of the misconceptions people have about the job? And just a lot of the things that you really need to be aware of, because I can't tell you how many teachers I see leave the classroom, transition into this role, and then they just find that it's not for them and they end up back in the classroom. So in my next video, I'm going to be breaking some of those things down so that way you can really figure out if this is for you or not. So I hope you'll check out that second video when it is ready. And until then, happy teaching!